Hello, I'm Jonathan Dunksy, author of the Adam Lapid Mysteries, and today I'd like to tell you about Out of Sight by Elmore Leonard. Previously on this channel, I reviewed another Elmore Leonard novel called Swag, which I said was a lot of fun, but I also said that Elmore Leonard had written a number of books that were better than Swag, and Out of Sight is one of them. So let me tell you a bit about it and what makes this crime novel so special. Out of Sight has two main characters. The first is Jack Foley, who is this gentleman bank robber, an expert in his trade. He has robbed over 100 banks, and he's a sort of a charming guy. The other main character is Karen Sisko, who's a U.S. Marshal with a romantic streak in her personality and a tendency to get involved with the wrong kind of guy. The story begins when Jack Foley is in the early stages of a 30-year sentence in Glades Penitentiary in Florida after he was arrested for robbing yet another bank. Foley is desperate to get out of prison, and he intends to do so by means of a tunnel that goes under the prison walls. And on the day in which he plans to make his escape, a friend of his called Buddy, another criminal with whom Jack Foley served time in another prison, is waiting for him in the parking lot in a car ready to whisk him away. So Jack Foley attempts his escape, but unbeknownst to him and Buddy, Karen Sisko, a U.S. Marshal, is also in the parking lot. She has arrived at the prison on another matter, and she happens to see Jack Foley emerge from the ground, realizes that he is a convict making an escape, and she attempts to stop him. But Buddy and Jack Foley manage to overpower Karen Sisko. They shove her into the trunk of her car, and Foley climbs in with her while Buddy gets into the car and drives away. So Jack Foley and Karen Sisko find themselves wedged together in the trunk of the car, very tightly, barely able to move a muscle, and in complete darkness. And to pass the time while Buddy is driving wherever he's going, they start talking. And it's one of the most amazing conversations that I've ever read in a book, because while they are talking, these two people, one of them a law enforcement officer, the other a fugitive who's just escaped from prison, they discover that they share various common interests, and that it is very easy for them to talk with one another, and it's very enjoyable for them to do so. So they talk about movies, they express a shared admiration for the actress Faye Dunaway, and the chemistry between them is undeniable. And at a certain point in that conversation, Jack Foley raises the question of what would have happened had they met under different circumstances. For instance, in a bar, just a regular guy and a regular woman, and they started talking, and what would have happened. And of course, this seems ridiculous and preposterous because of their two roles in life. She is supposed to catch him. She wants to arrest him to put him back in prison, and he wants to get as far away from any law enforcement officer as possible. But there's no denying that these two people have something going between them that is quite interesting, even perhaps magical. Once Buddy reaches a certain point in their plan of escape, it is time for him and Foley to switch cars and to drive off again. But Jack Foley is so enamored with Karen Sisko, and he's so curious to see what else can happen between them, that he wants to take her with him. And of course, this is completely insane, but he hasn't gotten his fill of her quite yet. He wants to continue talking with her. His plan doesn't go well. Karen Sisko is able to escape, and so she drives off in another car, and Buddy and Foley continue their escape in their vehicle. And So this is the beginning of the book, and what happens from this moment on is a sort of a teasing cat and mouse sort of plot as Foley and Buddy visit this location and that. Foley robs a bank. He visits certain people from before he was arrested, and he and Buddy start thinking about doing a major robbery in Detroit, something that they sort of a lead that they heard about in a previous when they were in prison together earlier. In the meantime, Karen Sisko wants to go after Foley nominally in order to put him back in prison, but she also is sort of thinking or imagining what would happen if they indeed ran into each other again. What would happen if she didn't pursue him as vigorously as she's supposed to? What would happen if she sort of put aside her job for a brief spell of time? Also in the book, Foley, because of Karen Sisko, gets a bit, starts contemplating his life, his choices in life, and the way that he has basically in the way that he threw his life away, because now he wants a woman like Karen Sisko. He wants Karen Sisko, but because of who he is and what he is and the things that he's done, that is no longer really possible. And Karen Sisko for herself is thinking, what is going on with her, that she is even contemplating, setting aside her duty as a U.S. Marshal even for a certain spell of time in order to pursue this impossible romance with Foley. The novel is Out of Sight. The novel is terrific. The plot moves very quickly. The characters are all interesting. Various other criminals go in and out of the story. The dialogue, as is usual for Elmore Leonard, is stellar. And this is something that is quite incredible, that really requires, as a writer, immense skill and talent, that Elmore Leonard managed to take this impossible love story and make it seem entirely feasible and realistic. And it's a joy to just go along for the ride with these two characters and all the people that they interact with, and just to see where this love story will take them. Will they get together at a certain point? What will happen in the end? Is it possible for them to create some sort of a life together? These are all the questions that run through your mind as you're tearing through this novel, which is just a lot of fun. But more than just fun, it is an incredible feat of writing. I listened to the audiobook, which isn't long. It was terrifically narrated, but I believe that if you read it in print, you'll have an equally fabulous time. And you can find links in the description to this video where you can pick yourself a copy. In conclusion, I think Out of Sight is a terrific crime novel, which combines also an improbable love story and does it exceptionally well. And if you're looking for something that's a little different and is also a lot of fun, I highly recommend Out of Sight, so check it out.